Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in New Vienna, Iowa. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday. I don't know. My watch is dying. I'm low on battery, so I don't know what the date is. Sometime in July. I want to say it's July 8th, but it's a Thursday. That means it's happy hour. And today, for my recovery beverage, I actually have milk. We've been talking about milk and specifically milk and chocolate milk after running. And so I thought I would give it a try for today's happy hour because my mother-in-law just made a whole bunch of really nice oatmeal cookies. So very excited. I love her cookies. And so milk and cookies is what I'm going with for happy hour today. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at for happy hour. Everyone listening on the podcast, hope you guys are having a good day today. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully you are at a place in the day where you can have some lovely milk and cookies or maybe something a little bit stronger for your happy hour. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat today. We've got Thomas Villa says, yo. He's saying have a great trip to Maryland. Go and be safe. Yeah, I am. After the live stream, I got to finish packing up the car, and then I'll be driving back to Chicago to drop. We still have a whole bunch of stuff here at Grandma's house from last summer. So I'm going to be driving some of that stuff back home, spending the night there by myself, and then heading out to Baltimore to check out the kind of, I'm not sure what are they calling it? A grand opening, an open house for the Believe in the Run, their new physical space. So I'm super excited about that. Hopefully some of you guys are in the area and we'll meet up. I'm going to go for the morning run, which is at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So hopefully I'll be able to see some of you guys out there and we can meet in person. So thanks for wishing me this safe trip. Mark Salzman's here, says hello all. Says planning on meeting up with Heller when she runs Chicago Marathon. I'm planning on it. I have to reach out to her to make sure that it's something that she wants to do. I'm assuming that it'll happen, but I would love to be able to do that. Very excited to see her, and because I don't think I've ever actually met her in person before, so I think that could be super, super fun. All right, and it says, hey, Kofuzi and everybody, we are having to self-isolate here at home as a family member has COVID, even though he has had 2 Pfizer shots. Had a drive-through test today, so we'll see what happens. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, Ines, but oh man, things don't look so great over in the UK. So I'm hoping that this is as bad as it gets for you guys, and then you guys can come out of it really, really quickly. And given that one of your family members has had the 2 shots, hopefully that means it is probably one of those things where the test may turn up positive, but no symptoms or anything. So hopefully it turns out for the best. I did hear today on Twitter. Sorry, I'm using my phone for this, so it's not the best quality, and it's all shaky. But I did hear today that the Dublin Marathon was canceled and it's going virtual now, which is very sad to see. I was hoping we were past all those race cancellations and race virtualizations, and I think it was supposed to be in October too, right? So the fact that like races in that time frame where we're thinking about world majors, getting in a whole bunch of fall running, it's concerning. So hopefully we can all get through this quickly. Jonathan Ward says hello everyone. Stephen Gersdorf is here as well. Kyle Patton, what's going on? CV76 says what's going on. He's got his beer emoji ready. Ray Solers is the happy jogger is here. He's off to see the Wizard of Shoes. That's funny. I love it. Luis is here, says, what's going on? And Brendan Camps, good afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. What's going on, Brendan? Good to see you again. Stevie76 says, Kofuzi is still the favorite son-in-law because he gets the cookies. Maybe. You know what, though? Here's the thing. My father-in-law and I are the only 2 in like the entire family of like the kids and grandkids that like oatmeal cookies. And so like, it's kind of like when I'm here, it's a good excuse for grandma to make some. And then grandpa's pretty happy about it too, because otherwise he doesn't get any. So it's a nice win-win. These are good. These cookies are amazingly good. It's my favorite way to eat oatmeal. It's not as oatmeal, but as oatmeal cookies. And these are good. I don't know, did you put cranberries in this time? I don't think this is raisins. It's really, really tasty. Got a little bit of softness, a little bit of crunchiness. The fruit gives it nice chewiness and a little bit of tartness. These are just great cookies. Like I love having these like before a run and after a run because I just feel like it's got everything you need. So um, yeah, I don't know what like the numbers are on them, but and I'm only thinking about that because normally I don't really worry about the nutritional content of baked goods that people make. But I'm uploading right. It should be uploaded soon, if not like now, if not soon. Of I did the Gatorade sweat patch video, so I'm trying to think of like what do I normally eat before I run? How many carbs do I have on board before I start exercising? So I'm just kind of thinking about it that way. All right, Steven Gerzer says he's got a Starbucks double shot espresso and cream. That sounds tasty. I bet the color on that is really nice. Mm. All right, Kyle Patton wants to know if anyone know if the V1 Adios Pro will ever be restocked anywhere. I'm guessing not. I don't know, but I would say probably not since the version 2 is out, and it doesn't seem to be selling out. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. You know, I thought I saw Ben Parks just put out a video on his Adios Pros. I didn't get to watch it, but I think the thumbnail was something along the lines of that he didn't like it, which I was a bit surprised by because he likes the Rocket X, and I feel like the Adios Pro 2 is like if you can like mix the Rocket X and the Endorphin Pro, I feel like that's where you're getting with the Adios Pro. I haven't run in the Adios Pro 2. I don't know how much it's changed or not, but I can't remember if he tried the first one. So I don't know if it's just that he wouldn't have liked the first one either, or if there's a difference in opinion between 1 and 2. So I'll have to look at that a little bit more closely. All right. Mika Kataya says, evening, all sitting in the shade with a can of Foster's. Nice. In the middle of packing up for a move. Well, that's stressful. Moving back to my home country to start in a new deputy mayor's position. Well, cheers to that, Mika. Good luck to you in your new endeavors. Moving back, whether it's back to a country or to a new country, has got to be super stressful. So I wish you smooth travels. That's not a really good way to say that, but I hope everything goes smoothly. Sai says, Kofuzi, how many days do you run a week? Usually 6 to 7. I've been trying to take more rest days right now because the workouts that I'm doing are a little bit more intense than I'm used to. I'm training for some shorter distances, and so the workouts are a little bit harder. When I'm training for marathons or something longer than that, it's about mileage, time on feet, and so then I can usually run 7 days a week. But with some of these other workouts that are a little bit more intense and shorter in duration, I feel like it wears on the body a little bit more. So I've been trying to take a rest day here and there. And Barrows Wicaful says, hello from mile 1300 on the Appalachian Trail. Just over 800 miles to go. That's crazy. Awesome. Are you doing that all at once? I mean, not clearly not in one day, but like, are you just going from one end to one end? I'm glad you're getting reception from over there. Sean Marshall is here, says, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Sean. And Adam Pierce says, run early, another run this evening, and got to save the recovery for later. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a big double. Good job, Adam. Dennis Cheek says, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Welcome, Dennis. Good to see you. All right. Ben Notley says, hi, gang. What's going on? And Adam Pierce says, they don't look great in Japan. No fans at the games. Yeah. Yeah, it's all coming to a head now at this point. And who knows what's going to happen. But it doesn't seem auspicious so far at this point. Last that I heard was that they may declare a state of emergency in Tokyo, and now there's no fans going to be at the games. At this point, I don't think they're going to not have them, but it's just a matter of like, is it just everyone is in. It's like an Olympic Games of 1,000 little bubbles, and everyone has their bubble, and you only emerge to your event, and then you have to rebubble up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I mean, I'm assuming that's going to be very different than a normal Olympics, but you know, in one sense, maybe it's good for the athletes because then they're not distracted. But I don't know. It's going to be a very weird Olympics no matter what. All right. Mm, Sean says, "Co, I'm having flashbacks of last summer with you in this space." Yeah, I am too. It's nice, like the old, like kind of upstairs backdrop. Has been interesting to be back in here. All right, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom so I'm not so far behind you guys, because I think that it's important to be more current rather than get every single one. If you guys did have a running question or any kind of question, feel free to put it back in there. Again, sorry to make you repeat yourselves, but I just want to make sure I'm kind of talking about what you guys are talking about. And Ember Sokoful says, all right, so they are going on the entire trail. Started in Georgia and hiking to Maine. Wow. And at the Pennsylvania New Jersey border in a motel hiding from the rain. Wow, that is quite an adventure. That's an amazing adventure. That sounds so cool. 2,100 miles. Whew, that's a long way. All right. And then, yeah, Stephen Gershov says, for some reason, vaccination rates are super low in Japan. I think it's more a matter of access and supply. I don't think it's a vaccine hesitancy over there, as far as I understand. I just don't think they've been getting the doses. Um, the U.S. has been getting most of them, it seems. So I think that's what it is. And Daniel M says they did declare state of emergency. They need to try to get ahead of any spread to keep things under control for the games. Yeah, I mean, the eyes will be on Tokyo for sure on a lot of levels, not only just from the athletics that will be on display, but also from like what happens when you bring people from all over the world to one place, and then what happens when people go back. So I think that we will. I don't know if will we see. What do you think, guys? Do you think we'll see changes to the world marathon majors that happen because of things that do or don't happen in Tokyo over the next couple of weeks or the next month or so? I'm starting to get nervous again, which is weird because I felt like we had rounded that corner, but it's a it's a situation where the entire world, any part of the world can affect the other, and so it's not just about what's going on here. So, oh man, I hope that it just is uneventful in that regard. Strokes8 says, any idea for a half marathon racer on a crushed gravel course, Endorphin Pro? I'd say the Endorphin Pro will work as long as it's not soft. Because I did a 10K time trial on crushed gravel, crushed limestone, but it had been raining the day before and it was pretty cold. And the ground was super mushy. And I just felt like everything got lost every single step. And so that was not a great choice for that day. Um, but if we're looking for a half marathon race on crushed gravel, if it's all going to be crushed gravel, then I think you can go. I would consider going something, if you have it, thinner stack height than you normally would run, say, a road half marathon in. So I'd say something that would be great would be the RC version 1, which I don't love for roads of that distance, but I think would be great on crushed gravel, and it's super grippy. Um, and things like the old Meta Racer or even like the Speed Elite, things that just don't give enough cushion for longer distance on roads. That's where I would kind of look. But crushed gravel, I don't think otherwise, if it's dry and hard packed, that there's not really a lot of changes that you really need to make as far as your footwear choices. Like even like an Adios Pro and an Endorphin Pro would work. The only thing that would change that kind of decision making is if it's going to be wet. Um, all right. Kurt says, do you use Stride to set up your training runs for pacing? I find their pre-training runs to be too slow. Struggle making my own, trying to figure out what percent of critical power to use. Yeah, I don't use the Stride for easy runs. So for easy runs, I go by heart rate. That's kind of like what tells me what is a good easy day pace or a recovery pace. I will, depends on the duration of the interval as to whether I will use the stride for a workout. And that's where I do like to use the stride is if it's threshold work, especially if it's going to be like light roller hills, then I like to use the stride to help kind of level out the ups and downs. Um, but if it's very, very short, like shorter than 800-meter intervals, like 400s and 200s, then I'll just kind of go with pace, seconds for the interval. But stride, I like to use the power number. I like to use for threshold work primarily. All right. Let's see. Seathor, where'd it go? I just saw it. It jumped as soon as I was about to hit it. Where did that Seathor question? Here we go. Seathor says, "Hey, Kofuzi, I noticed in your recent track workout videos you run early in the morning. What is your typical routine before you run? How much time do you need before you start your run?" I mean, I get up early and then I usually do work. I work on YouTube videos in the morning before everyone gets up. And then I'll go for my run. So like I usually have anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half before I'm actually out there running, depending on how early I can wake up. But as a minimum, I would probably want like 15 to 30 minutes before I'm actually running. 10 minutes of that, less than 10 minutes of that is going to be my mobility routine. Just kind of like some body weight squats and lunges and things like that I do. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes. And, it takes me a couple minutes, 10, 15 minutes to get changed. I want to make sure I have some coffee. I want to make sure I can go to the bathroom beforehand. So all total, at a minimum, I probably would need about 30 minutes before I can like be out the door. I don't really focus on, currently, I don't focus on eating before a run unless it's going to be a workout. But usually there's enough time for me because I get up early to do YouTube editing to eat like a snack or have some cookies like this before I get out for the run. So that's my kind of normal routine. All right. Jeff Elliott says he's got a half marathon on the road coming up in 1 month, and the goal is sub 150, weather permitting. He says, I love the speeds. Should use them or get the Pro on sale? I'm leaning Pro. If you want to get the Pro, I'd say get the Pro, but don't just get it for this race. If you think you'd want to use it for other training and other racing too, I think that'll be a great pickup. But I also think that the speed is still a really great choice for that half marathon. But if I had a choice, like there's a half marathon this weekend, speed or Pro, I would pick the Pro. So that's where I would go with it. Lucas H says, what's going on, my running friends? Did my first in-person race yesterday. So fun. A 5K, increased stride power from 260 to 282. Nice. That's a nice big bump. I don't have my cowbells with this kind of more raw setup that I have here. So a cowbell for you there, Lucas. Great job on the first in-person race. Love it. Andrew Bostic wants to know, have I tried the New Balance Rebel version 2? I still haven't. That's another shoe that like, I feel like if they had gotten that shoe to me, like when they were getting it to everyone else, I would have been all over it. The timing was good for me then. Now I'm like, not really that interested in it. I'll be more interested in it probably in about a month. It's just kind of where I am in my training. Stephen Gerser said, what's the best surface to run on? I vote for Pack Dirt. I think that's pretty good. I think it's a really good surface. I also like dirt roads, as long as the gravel rocks aren't too crazy. But yeah, because it's still fast enough of a material that you can do a workout on it, but it's soft enough that it just takes that little bit of edge off of some of those longer miles. So I agree with you, Stephen, on that one. Andrew Bostic said, what's your go-to running shoe? Right now, I brought 3 shoes with me to Iowa for now. I'll probably switch out 1 or 2 of them when I go back tonight. And the 3 that I bought are the Fresh Foam More version 3. It's a really great max cushion shoe. I brought the Puma Liberate because I knew I was going to get a track workout, and I did that today. And then I brought the Hokas and all because I wanted to put some more trail miles in on that shoe. And those are all pretty good. I would say though, if I could only have like one shoe while I was out here though, I'd probably pick the Mach 4 and or the Nova Blast 2 because I think that those are just better maybe go-tos. Um, but I already have kind of a lot of miles on the Mach 4 and I'm saving the Nova Blast 2 a little bit. So I was like, let's leave those for now. Now I'll be going home tonight. And so when I come back to Iowa, I'll come back after I go to Maryland. I'm going to switch out some shoes. So I'm not sure which ones I'll bring home and which ones I'll bring back, but you know, we'll see what I'll have to think about it a little bit. All right. Man, you guys I have so much in the chat that I want to get to. I keep missing it, so I apologize for that. All right. Daniel M says, what is the best recovery shoe for walking around after runs? For me, the best recovery shoe are slides. I like flip-flops. So right now I'm using the Crocs Light Ride slides, which I've been enjoying quite a bit. It might be time for me to try the Hoka ones. But I also really like OOFOS, OOFOS. So those are my favorite like slides. Those are my favorite footwear to be in after a long run or after a race. I don't know if there's a shoe that I really like. I'd rather be in a flip-flop just because there's a little bit more room. Sean Marshall says that he's talking to Remy, says the swimming is looking solid, my dude. It sure is. Have you guys been watching Remy's Instagram? He's been doing the last post he did some kick drills, and I'm quite envious because I can't do that. I always feel like I'm drowning when I do that. So his kick is coming along real well. His swimming is looking really good. All right. Let's see. Whoops, sorry. Sorry, the phone is just so wobbly. Martha says, just have to read the comments to see what's up today. I got the Audio 6 and tried on the mill, but it wasn't instant love like the Boston 9. Might not keep it since I recently got the Rebel 2 and loving my others. Ooh, that's interesting, Martha. Hold on. My battery's running low on the phone, so I gotta plug it in while we're up here. Thing is, it always makes the phone tilt the way that this cable is, so I'll have to kind of hold it the whole time awkwardly. But that's surprising. I was really hoping that the Audio 6 was like the Boston, like the real Boston, not the Boston 10. All right. Well, I'm happy that you at least have the Rebel 2 that you can rely on. Farhan Abdurrahman says, do you think the ASICS Meta Racer can be used as a daily trainer and reach 100K? Can you run 100K in it? For sure. Can you use it as a daily trainer? I would say probably not. Depends on what your daily training is, but for me, I just feel like it's a little bit too firm for me to be able to use on a regular basis. It's a shoe that really likes to run fast. And so I would save that shoe for like my workouts or my shorter races. All right. These comments have on the chat have jumped on me again because I'm taking too long, so I apologize, guys. I'm trying to keep up. Mile 62 running channel says, I like that Mile 62. Says, do you ever run in sandals? I recently got the Luna Flaca running version. It is a very different ride. You know, I don't, but I've been looking at like the Tivas and what is it? Cotopaxi. Like there's a Cotopaxi Tiva collab that I think looks beautiful. And other companies are making like, you know, they make them for people that go hiking. I'm like, I wonder if you can make them for running. But now that I'm answering this question, I'm thinking you're talking about the different kind of running sandal, like the minimalist kind. I've never tried those, and I'm not particularly interested in those. My feet just aren't strong enough for it. I'm not familiar with what the Luna Flaca is, so I'm guessing you're talking about like kind of like the leather kind of like outsole with the strap on it that kind of ties around the toe and stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's kind of a level of foot toughness that's beyond me. I can't do it. All right, Heavy Set Go says, I finished my first half marathon a couple weeks ago. Awesome. He says, I maxed out at 34 miles per week during my training block. Would sub 40 miles per week be enough to start my training block for a 50K? I think that that would probably be all right. I mean, I'm not an expert in 50K training, but I do think that about 40 miles a week or a little bit more than what you were doing for your half marathon is probably all right. But I would make sure that you're doing, a lot of race specific training. So while most plans at like 40 miles a week wouldn't have you do like regular 12 to 16 mile runs or maybe even longer, that's something that I would probably think about doing and trying to stack a lot of mileage on the weekend, like back to back, easy paces, just so that your body gets used to running on tired legs. So that's kind of like one of the things that I would really think about in terms of how you're allocating those miles. And then I also think that, like you have to, adjust expectations based on the amount of mileage that you're doing. And so depending on what your hopes and goals are, you may need to do more than 40, but it might not be prudent to do more than 40 if just a couple of weeks ago you were maxing out at about 34 miles per week. So again, it depends on how much time you're giving yourself to run that 50K and how much mileage you want to build up to. So a couple of different variables that you can kind of tinker around with, but to kind of try and answer the question as succinctly as possible, I think it's okay. But you got to be a little bit thoughtful about it. All right. John Ritchie says, hi, Co. No less too good for a marathon? Good vibes. Yeah, I think you definitely could. I think it'd be pretty comfortable for those later miles, but also nimble enough to make it feel like you're not running in something super clunky. So I think that'd be a good choice. I think that we're going to see, I mean, I hope I'm going to see a lot of people's shoes, in real live in-person marathons. It's been a while. Well, I guess I did the one out in the suburbs, getting ready for my 50K. Um, but that one was a COVID start, so I didn't really get to see that many shoes. But I'm hoping to see a lot of people's feet come this fall, and I think there's going to be a lot of Nova Blast out in the crowds. All right. Now, Philip Hu says, personally, I'm doing 60 miles per week for 5K, 8K, 10K training. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends, like I did that many miles per week for my 5K and 8K training too. Um, but I don't think that there's necessarily like a linear scale of like, if you're doing 60 miles per week for 5K, 8K training, then if you go to say half marathon training, I don't think it means you do 120 miles per week. So I think that it depends on, how long you've been hitting that kind of mileage, what your intensity of like what you're doing in that week of mileage is going to be like, and what your goals are going to be for those races to kind of dictate like what's a good mileage for a distance. I don't think that there's necessarily a straightforward answer of like, if you want to be able to do a 50K, you need to be able to do at least X. I mean, maybe there's a bare minimum. Like, I don't think you could do it off of like 25 miles a week. But, anything other than that, I feel like it all depends on kind of the runner and their history. And Stephen Gerzer says, I go by monthly mileage more than weekly. Now that's a long training block, instead of like using a week, using a month. Now I was listening to the podcast with Mario Ferroli where he's talking about it was Mario Ferroli was on Jason Fitzgerald's strength running podcast. And they're talking about using a 10-day cycle or a 14-day cycle. But a month, that's a longer one. I've never seen that before. I'm interested in that. All right. Let's see what else we got. Daniel says, I'm hoping to see a lot of people's feet. Yeah, as I was saying that, I was like, that sounds really weird. But I just can't wait. I'm so curious to see like what people show up in when they run their marathons this year, just because I feel like between 2021 and say like 2018, a lot's changed. 2018, there was one shoe that you saw primarily. And now I don't know what we're gonna see out there. So I'm super curious. Charles Ventura says, hello, everyone. Starting to see more and more runners out there. Anyone else stare at people's shoes? There we go. I just saw someone with alpha flies yesterday. Yeah. I certainly pay attention to what people are wearing. Mm. And Sean says, I think paying attention to weekly mileage can be a deterrent from listening to your body and when it needs rest. A blend of both is the goal. Yeah, I think you're right. I have definitely been a slave to the numbers, and it's bitten me in the butt, or it's hurt me in the knee in the past. So that's very good advice. All right, Ferran says, I have the Ghost 12 used as my daily trainer. Now almost 300 Ks. I'm looking for something light for speed session, but good as daily trainer in terms of durability of outsole. Can you suggest something? I mean, hmm. I would look at, if you like the Ghost 12, I would look at either there's the Hyperion Tempo, which is also from Brooks. It doesn't feel like the Ghost. It feels very different than the Ghost, but it's within the same brand, and it's going to have a lot longer durability. So that's one that I would probably look at first for you. Yeah, also, I just think we've been talking about it a lot today, the endorphin speed. That's always one that's very easy for me to recommend. So that's another one. And um, I don't usually worry too much about the durability of outsole. I tend to find that the foam itself deteriorates faster than the rubber outsole does. And so it gives you a false sense of security when you have a giant thick slab of rubber on the outsole, like in a lot of the old school ASICs. But the endorphin speed, I feel like is a shoe that lasts a very long time. That foam is pretty resilient, as well as the Hyperion Tempo. Those nitro foams, I do think last a very long time. Eric says, I ran the Toledo Marathon in April, and I would say the most common shoe I noticed was the endorphin speed. It's what I wore, and it seemed like it was a prevailing favorite among everyone there. That's cool. That is something that I would anticipate as well. Now, when I did run that marathon out in the suburbs of Chicago, was that May? Um, I did not, I mean, the way that the race was set up, like the race started at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and my time slot wasn't until like eight something. And they were kind of like, everyone stay in your car and wait rather than, crowd the start line and congregate. And so like I didn't get a chance to see what a lot of the elites and sub elites were wearing. And ended up signing up late. So I started out with a kind of like in a they try to do it by pace group. So like the earlier you went, the faster your anticipated time was going to be. So I was running in people in the time group of people that were a little bit slower than what I was shooting for. And so there, I did not see a lot of carbon plated shoes at all. I wore the Fuel Cell TC, but there was a lot of daily trainers out there, a lot of Brooks, a lot of ASICs. That's what I remember seeing. Andrew Bostic says, do you think running 30 miles a week at 13 is too much? I don't think so. I think that depending on where you are in the cross country season and like kind of what you're doing, is fine. I think that's about what I would be running kind of toward my peak when I was in high school running cross country. We didn't run a ton of mileage. Um, and I think that was commensurate with my skill level. I was really bad at putting in a lot of base miles over the summer. And so by the time I got to like, the beginning of the season, coach was like, you're not in very good shape, are you? He didn't say that, but I'm sure he was thinking it. And so I spent the entire season just trying to like, I think the coach was spending a lot of time figuring out how much he could let us run without us hurting ourselves. And so I think coach did a very good job with that. If I got much over 30 miles in a week, I think I'd be surprised. But I would say like for now we're in summer, and if you're getting ready for your cross country season, 30 miles a week, I think is a great number if all those miles are easy. Um, you could probably do fine with a little bit less given like kind of the heat of summer, but I would really focus on, for summer getting in the off season in cross country. I mean, I guess it could also can depend on kind of what your goals are for the season. But like if you're just trying to put in summer base miles, I would say look to run 4 to 5 times a week, anywhere between 3 to 6 miles a time. So what does that give you? 4 times 3 would be 12. 6 times a week would be 6. So like 12 to 36 miles. It's a pretty big range. But like I feel like that, if you're just doing lots of easy miles, is a pretty good way to at least just kind of like have a little bit of base going into the season. If you're looking to, get to the regional meet, get to states, it's going to be more than that. But for someone just wanting to get out there and run and have a good time and be in shape for the fall season, I think that's a pretty decent way to kind of look at it. But Stephen Gerzo said nobody ran a ton of mileage back then. It's kind of true, but there were a couple of kind of like prep schools in the area that always had a lot of very talented runners. And those guys, everyone kind of was like, oh man, those guys are going to burn themselves out. They're running 60 miles, 60-mile weeks in high school. And they were really good. And those are the guys going to the state meets for the mile, for the 2 mile, for cross country. Um, and some of them did burn out when they got to college and didn't make it much further beyond. But I think it's a little bit different now. People are kind of understanding training a little bit differently. So I do think probably kids in high school these days are probably running more mileage than they did, you know, the 2.5 decades since I was in college, but or in high school. So that's a good point. Mm. Brandon Sun says, do you think the plate and the endorphin speed is okay for daily training? I've seen some people online say they didn't really like it for easy runs. Yeah, it's not about the plate. People don't like the endorphin speed for easy runs because it's a little bit firm when you're going slower. So it's more forgiving than the endorphin pro is. But there's nothing I think, in my opinion, about that plate or that nylon shank that's in there that's going to make it contraindicated for daily training. But a lot of it's going to be a matter of preference. Do you like it for easy running? I wouldn't love it for everyday runs, but I've definitely taken it out on a lot of easy runs in my testing of it. And I'm talking about the endorphin speed one because I haven't tried two. And Ray Sollers, the happy jogger, says, are carbon plated race shoes a waste for the slower type runner? I don't think that they're a waste. So, I think that depending on the shoe, and not all shoes are capable of this, but a lot of the better carbon plated shoes are able to give people the benefit almost regardless of what their like race pace is. But when you're at that race effort, I feel like people will see like a commensurate bump. Now, some people were saying, people were in such a tizzy about like the whole 4% thing when the 4% came out. Um, but like, there were some people that were then trying to study whether the benefit of like those carbon fiber plated shoes was more than 4% for say non-elite runners. And some people saying that like, when you're already a very efficient professional level athlete, the amount of benefit that a shoe like that gives you, the carbon really isn't giving as much benefit. It does 4%, but as it does if you are someone that maybe has some inefficiencies in your stride, and the carbon can kind of like assist you a little bit more. So there's like multiple lines of thought on that. And I don't think that it's a waste. My ultimate opinion is it's your money and your feet. If they make you happy, go out and get it and race in it. And just do your thing. Um, you know, there's always going to be people that are saying like, why is that guy doing that? But I feel like, you know, I don't know what their motivations are, and I don't particularly care. If you've put in the time, you put in the training, you've done what you can to maximize your potential for a good result, then why not in the last, as like kind of like the last mile, so to speak, um, make a good shoe choice for yourself. So I think that there's probably kind of like a cutoff. I don't know where it is in terms of like, where the carbon plated shoe doesn't benefit you. I'm not sure if it's after 5 hours or 6 hours for a marathon. If at that point you really want to focus on cushioning versus propulsion, for your shoe choice, because you're going to be on your feet for a long time. So there's a point where other considerations may become more important, but I don't think it's a waste necessarily. All right, let's do a couple more, and then I probably got to get going a little bit earlier today because I still do have to do some packing and figuring out all that other stuff. Andrew Bostic says, how much money for a follow on Strava? I don't really go that way, Andrew, but like, I'll look for you on Strava. Andrew Bostic. Okay, I'll look for you. Will says, I'm a slower runner and I train in the Rocket X, Zoomfly 3, Adidas Adizero Pro, and my ratio is an X% too. Yeah, I feel like it's the nice thing about these carbon plated shoes. The cousins are here. It suddenly got a lot noisier. But the nice thing about these shoes, it's not a shoe that only benefits pros. So, I mean, there's some that I think are like that, some more than others. But like, you know, for example, like the Alpha Fly and the Next Percents, I don't think that they only benefit super elite runners. So that's like commercially and as a non-elite runner myself, it's a nice thing. All right. Yeah, and Brett says the Believe in the Run says that carbon plated shoes help slow runners more than pros. Yeah, I think there's a wide school of thought on that. I mean, I think there's even some people that are talking about like how carbon plated shoes are bad for you as well. So like just everywhere between it's great for pros, it's great for slow people, it's not for certain people. There's all sorts of thoughts out there, and there's even people that are like you'll hurt yourself if you run in them too much. So there's a lot of people that are studying the carbon plated shoes. I'm not sure which of those necessarily is or isn't true, but I mean, I think I've laid out kind of my approach to it is I do think they help a wide range of people. And Daniel M says, I'm pretty slow and the carbon racers still help me speed up during workouts. I prefer having them. It's just a little pep in the step and I like them. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, guys, because I do have to get going. And I also do want to make sure that there's an adult somewhere down there. I know grandma and grandpa aren't here, but my wife's working. So like, I don't know exactly what's going on down there. It's getting real loud. I got to go check in on that. Tomorrow's video, I think is going to be, I'm not sure what tomorrow's video is going to be. Today though, tomorrow's video might be about what I did today at the track. I went to the track today and there were some hurdles. So that either is going to be tomorrow's video or the day after. I'm not sure. I have to go double check. I have a couple of days mapped out. I've got the Believe in the Run trip coming up. So like all that's kind of coming. But because of that though, I'll be in the air tomorrow during live stream time. So there won't be any live stream tomorrow. I won't see you guys again until we do a Monday mukbang. I'll be back here in Iowa for that. So that's the next time I'll see you as far as a live stream goes. But in the meantime, there'll be videos. I'll show you my hurdling. I'll show you the Believe in the Run new office space. So lots of fun stuff. Stay tuned for that. I think there's some fun videos are coming. Until I see you guys again, be safe out there, everybody. Thank you.